For many years, we've been experiencing economic growth and perceive it as something good, rejoicing in the increasing number of benefits, growth in investments, rising incomes, and property values. Growth is good, right? Don't you feel a certain tension in society? Everything has its price, everything is becoming more expensive. It seems that we live to work and we feel exhausted. Corporations and people with huge capital are getting richer while we have to spend all our time earning money working multiple jobs. Meanwhile, so many goods are produced every day that we cannot even consume them all. The planet's resources are being depleted at an incredible rate, and people feel worse than ever. Who is to blame? Capitalism? So, what's the problem? I feel like there's a growing sense of dissatisfaction in society. Specifically, personally, I get the impression that people are simply being drained of their resources. We constantly have no time, we feel exhausted, and we are stuck in this cycle.
Coming to bed, honey?
I haven't met anyone who enjoys this, except maybe for a few fans or workaholics who love their job so much that they want to dedicate all their time to it. But unfortunately, most people work just for the money. This is a tough lifestyle that takes a long time to get used to and adjust to. It used to be that everyone worked like this, and for some time it was even a dream to strive to. And it seemed normal because there was no alternative. But now, with all the social media, isn't it annoying to sit at work counting the days until payday, while seeing bloggers of friends posting beautiful breakfasts at 11 a.m., enjoying sunny afternoon walks, constantly traveling, buying expensive cars, and showcasing beautiful homes? It makes you wonder where you went wrong and why you have to spend all your life working for some company. For what purpose? It's fine if the company produces something genuinely high quality and useful, but often there is not much sense in job, and employees produce useless junk that other employees try to sell. And all of that for profit, of course. The profit, though, ends up in the hands of a small number of people who can reinvest it and become even richer. As they say, money attracts money. This is the first major problem of capitalism: unequal distribution of wealth. According to Jacob Field, financial inequality today is comparable to the 19th century, with the richest 0.1% in the US owning as much wealth as the poorest 90%. Individuals with assets over 1 million make up 1% of the global population, but hold 46% of the world's wealth. Just as capitalism has created inequality within countries, it has also exacerbated it globally. From 1960 to 2016, inequality between rich and poor countries nearly tripled, and the gap continues to grow. This also seems to lead to the issue of the immigration crisis. If people have the opportunity to move to a more prosperous and wealthy country, they take it. But the worst consequences of capitalism are yet to come, particularly regarding the environmental impact. Resource extraction and production emit a lot of carbon dioxide, leading to global warming, melting glaciers, rising sea levels, forest fires, and so on. Well, I'm sure you are aware of that. If we wanted to initiate a revolution, we'd stop here. But our goal is to objectively see the situation and look at it from different perspectives, so we continue. And in reality, it's not that bad. We must admit that all the inventions that surround us, that make our lives comfortable, safe, and interesting, we owe many of these to capitalism. New technologies, diverse products, household items, and new medicines are mostly created by private companies aiming for profit. Economic growth and production expansion have significantly increased life expectancy, reduced child mortality, increased incomes, and grown the world's population while reducing hunger. The way we live now, compared to 100 years ago, is a completely different world with its own pros and cons. Besides, what are the alternatives? I mean, pure socialism didn't work in real life. I am Russian, believe me, it's not worth it. The idea might be great, but for some reason, in all socialist countries, a dictatorship or unlimited power of the ruling group emerge, usually uninterested in citizens' welfare. The brightest example is perhaps North and South Korea. One folk chose two different paths, and now we can see the results. South Korea, embracing capitalism, has transformed from one of the poorest countries to the 11th largest economy in the world. South Koreans live 10 years longer than North Koreans. North Korea remains relatively poor and underdeveloped. Look around. Almost every item that surrounds you was created and made available to you thanks to capitalism. Developed international trade and globalization helped countries exchange resources and develop their strengths. Yet the fact remains that economic growth continues, supported by states and corporations, but it doesn't mean that people's lives are necessarily improving. It's still questionable whether South Koreans feel happier than North Koreans, because faith in an idea has a big impact at feeling of happiness. In 1974, Richard Easterlin discovered that long-term economic growth does not necessarily lead to increased life satisfaction. While richer countries have generally higher life satisfaction, income growth within a country over time doesn't lead to proportional increase in happiness. Up to a certain point, GDP and life satisfaction grew together, but then GDP continued to grow while satisfaction stayed the same. Moreover, if we look at the country rankings by quality of life, the US lags behind many European countries despite having the highest GDP. It's well known that a person's satisfaction increases with income up to a certain point. In 2018, this threshold was $75,000 a year for US, meaning that the people who earned more than that weren't necessarily happier. In Latin America, this amount was on average $28,000. I feel like further growth only makes things worse. I notice, and these are just my thoughts, that due to automation and technologies, our work has become more efficient, meaning that we have to strain our minds more. After working 8 hours like this, we feel drained. And people have to focus all their attention at earning money just to survive. That keeps in tension. The environmental situation is also a disaster. And for what? If you think about it, we waste a lot of resources as we produce more goods that we can consume. We create junk for profit and suffer from endless advertising trying to sell it, producing low-quality trash content and then suffering from an overabundance of choices and information. How long will this economic growth continue? Do we need it at all? Economists say that if we don't stop ourselves, then the planet will force us to. In 1970s, amid the discussions about protecting Earth resources, a group of researchers at MIT tackled a far-reaching question: how long can humanity keep growing and consuming at its current rate? Using computer modeling, they came up with an ominous answer. If the present growth trends in world population, industrialization, pollution, food production, and resource depletion continue unchanged, the limits to grow on this planet will be reached sometime within the next 100 years. The most probable result will be a rather sudden and uncontrollable decline in both population and industrial capacity. So we can see that rapid economic growth harms us and the planet. At this point, we need to understand as humanity what goals are we actually pursuing. Is it increasing the numbers on graphs and bank accounts? Or our well-being, specifically our physical and mental health, education, standard of living, free time, safety, cultural and social diversity, and a good environment? Just imagine how differently governments and corporations would act if they aimed for the well-being of people rather than GDP growth. Maybe I'm just an idealist, but I feel like we are at the stage of development where economic growth has almost reached its limits, and we should shift our focus on improving people's lives. For me, it means reducing working hours through automation. In Germany, for example, several companies are testing 4-day work week, which I find very encouraging. It also means investing in urban environments and public spaces where we can enjoy time with friends and family, supporting the arts, providing accessible healthcare for us, and focusing on producing high-quality products that last for years. The only problem is that we are kind of trapped in constant need of capitalism to grow, because capitalism comes from word capital, which means wealth in the form of money or other assets owned by a person or organization or available for a purpose such as starting a company or investing. And if there is no growth, the investments simply don't work. When there is no growth, banks cannot loan money to businesses because these businesses won't be able to pay back the debt plus bank interest. And obviously, when there is no growth, there is not enough working spaces, which means unemployment, which means people don't buy anything, which means more businesses die, and so on until collapse. Okay, what I want to say is that it's time to change our goals or switch focus. Since there are hardly alternatives to capitalism and it has indeed served well to humanity, experts say that improving capitalism will be the main task of 21st century. Jacob Field, in his book Is Capitalism Dead?, outlines the following options for improvement. Market socialism, where socialism is combined with market capitalism. In China, private entrepreneurship and foreign investments are allowed, and the government does not try to control every aspect of the economy as the Soviet Union did. At the same time, the state sets goals and regulates to ensure sustainable growth. Large enterprises in all sectors, from coal mining to banking, are state-owned and operate in national interests. As we know, China's economy has grown rapidly, but again, in such model, much depends on who is in power and what are their intentions. Economic democracy could be another alternative, aiming to preserve the best features of capitalism while eliminating its shortcomings. The key element is extending democracy to the workplace, where the management is also accountable to the workers who receive a share of profit, not shareholders, as well as management is also elected by the workers. Under these conditions, any productivity improvement directly benefits workers, reducing the risk of decreased purchasing power. This also sounds a bit like utopia for now. Wealth redistribution is another long-practiced method. Over the past 30 years, the inequality in the developed world has increased significantly, which is alarming. A completely free market doesn't seem to prevent the endless accumulation of capital. Under capitalism, those with more capital wield power. Thus, wealthy individuals gain unlimited power, reminiscent of the past, with a clear division between powerless peasants and privileged aristocrats. Moreover, there is a danger that impoverished people preoccupied with daily survival will stop exercising their civil rights, allowing wealthy elites to gain unlimited control over the state, acting solely in their interests. This highlights the importance of progressive taxation. In Europe, for example, the middle class is the largest, the economic inequality is the lowest, and happiness level, as mentioned earlier, is the highest. And Europe is known for its high taxes. In Germany, where I live now, people always complain about high taxes, saying it's not profitable to do a business here, but for now, it seems to be the most successful way to maintain democracy, people's power, and justice. To sum up all that has been said, at the point to which capitalism has led us, we are tired and stressed out. This is compounded by the demonstration of social inequality on social media and lack of meaning of what we are doing during our lifetime. At the same time, capitalism allows us to live a comfortable and safe life, and we don't really need to get rid of it. What we as humanity need to change is our goals. We need to prioritize well-being over profit, because at a certain point, money stops improving our lives and happiness level. And what do you think about it? Are we indeed at the point where something must be changed? Or is just an immature way of thinking, or maybe an illusion of mine? So tell me in the comments, and I see you next time!